Okay, if you are at this video, it means that you are ready to write your conclusion paragraph for your research paper. So I want you to think about an introduction and a conclusion are very similar. They're just upside down from each other, right? So when we talked about the introduction, we talked about an upside down triangle or a funnel being that kind of hook statement, and then the bridge sentences, and then your very pointed thesis statement that shows exactly what you're going to be talking about. When we think about a conclusion, logically, it just flips and it goes the other way. So now we have this right side up triangle here. We're going to instead start with our specifics of what we've been talking about. This will be a rewording of the thesis. So this might be 1, 2, maybe even 3 sentences where you are going to kind of review the main ideas in your body paragraphs in a thesis statement. Now, you might want to consider putting it into 2 sentences so that you can definitely kind of write it in a different way. You don't want to copy it, okay? You don't want to copy your original thesis. It's too boring. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to summarize your main points or your reasons or things that show that it was really important, that kind of thing. And then the last thing is now you move out to the general, right? So we really have our triangle now where we're moving from the point, the specific, and we're applying it more to the world as a whole. English teachers like to call this your so what, as in why does all this matter? Why did this research matter? What is the most important about this? The so what. The other thing that we call this is we like to call it either a bold statement or a call to action. Now, call to action applies more to argumentative. That means that you're actually going to be asking your audience to do something or to believe in something. But it's possible that if you have covered a really important topic, so let's for example say that you were talking about global warming or something like that, you might end with a call to action where you're actually kind of asking your audience to see what differences they can make in their own life that will contribute to improving global warming, something like that. So this last sentence is the hardest. The first one, restating your thesis, that should not be that difficult. And summarizing your points should not be that difficult. The trouble is this last statement, kind of like the hook, right? And it makes sense because it's backwards. So here are some strategies that you can use. The first thing that you could do is you could end with some sort of prediction. So if appropriate action is taken, the world will only benefit from a generation that has been carefully taught how to interact with one another on online platforms, right? I'm kind of making a prediction. You could try that. You could end with some sort of suggestion. So maybe in your research you have learned something about how to solve an issue or what people should do. So if I am doing my paragraph on insomnia, maybe I would end with a suggestion to teenagers about how they can improve their sleep abilities. So maybe I would say something like, so before you go to sleep tonight, consider putting down that phone. And the next time you pick up a kickstart, take another consideration of how you want that to affect you. It's not great, but I might reword that. The next thing I could do is I could end with a vivid image. So remember in the beginning I told you that you could use like figurative language. This is kind of the same thing. So maybe I'm going to say, imagine a world where kids walk down the hallways, greeting one another with friendly smiles. Teachers stand at the doors, welcoming the students to their rooms, and parents volunteer in the classroom to ensure all kids have access to a helpful adult. This can be real if the nation wants it enough. So I'm painting that picture for my audience. If I started with an anecdote, which I don't think many of us did, but if I did, I could circle back to that anecdote or circle back to that quote that you used at the beginning. Remember I had that whole anecdote about that coach punching the teen in the stomach? Well, this is how that article ended. A teen who's been punched in the stomach by his coach has already been failed once by an adult. He doesn't need to be failed by adults again. It's pretty powerful. So you could come back to that quote and reflect on that. You could come back to that statistic and reflect on it. You could come back to that anecdote and reflect on it. And the last thing is a call to action. So this is where you're asking somebody to do something. So I said, let the world know that teenagers have a voice and deserve to be heard. Okay, so just, oh, we have one more. Sorry, I forgot about that. The last thing is you could just try to emphasize the importance or urgency of your topic. Why does this matter, right? So I put, it is imperative that people start to realize the truth. Fast food restaurants are killing our children. I think, pretty impactful, and it kind of goes with that importance. So what I want you to look at too are conclusion no-nos, okay? Do not copy your original claim word for word. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see you copy and pasting that down there. That helps nothing. Number 2, we're not using I, you, me, my, we, or our. Those are first and second person pronouns. We don't use them in formal writing. Number 3, I don't want new ideas in here. So make sure that everything is still related, and don't bring up like something that you had in your research but you haven't used yet. The conclusion would not be a spot for that. Number 4, this I've been seeing a lot in your race writings. That is why, or these are the reasons why. They're not impactful sentences. So I don't want to see them especially as that closing sentence, okay? And the last thing, try not to repeat everything you already said in the same way. It's boring and your audience will notice. Okay, so I will have an example conclusion for you on teenage insomnia that I will put in the folder. But for right now, you have these notes. So go back to your essay and see what you can come up with for your conclusion. Good luck.